Hare Krishna, all of you, my wonderful students and friends. My obeisances to all. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitanamane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane. Nirvishesha Shonyavari Paskacha Deshitarne. Our prayers to Srila Prabhupada for his blessings, presence, and empowerment. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Etanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharni Nirvishesha Shonyavari Paskacha Deshitarni. Jai.
And our obeisances to you, Gurudev. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Narahari Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate
Yes, Saraswati
Bhaktivedanta
Devi Gauravani Prasad. Jai Gurudev.
Jai.
Hare Krishna to all. So it's, before we start, does anybody have any epiphanies or anything they wanted to share from came up since we last met? I had one. I think it's since we last met. We were having a class, a Bhagavatam class. Someone mentioned just in passing about how Daksha. Does anybody know the story of Daksha and Lord Shiva and all the cursing that went on? Everybody a little familiar with that? I see some yeses and some nos. Well, it's not that important that we go so much into the story, but I'll give just a little something. So there was Lord Shiva, who's a great Vaishnava, very, very self-controlled. And he was married to his wife, Sita. I'm sorry, Parvati and Sati, yes, Sati, Sita. Hard, easy to mess them up. Yeah, Sati. And there was a big fire sacrifice that was going to take place. I think it was some relatively ritualistic sacrifice, and Sati wanted to go because a lot of her family members would be there. It was more of a social event, and Daksha was going to be sort of the presiding. He was going to preside over this. Daksha is he was a progenitor. In other words, he was one of the people in the very, very kind of beginning of the creation to help start making progeny so that babies are born. And he was very, very intelligent and very, very expert. Daksha, that was his name, but Daksha literally means expert. This guy was expert, real good manager, expert at all kinds of stuff. But he was envious. He was envious of Lord. He didn't like Lord Shiva, and so Lord Shiva knew that things could get a little dicey at this sacrifice. So he told his wife Sati, "You shouldn't go. Don't go to the sacrifice." Even though her family members would be there, because women are very, very sociable. They like more so than us men. Women, they like to associate and so on. And so her husband told her, Lord Shiva said, "Don't go," but she didn't listen to him. She went anyway because she wanted to see her sisters and her family. Most of us guys, see the family, don't see the family, big deal. But she wanted to go and chat with all ladies. So she went anyway. And sure enough, when Daksha came out, everybody was, standing up and offering great respects to Daksha. Lord Shiva didn't stand up. Well, first of all, he was her, what's it called? Father-in-law. Lord Shiva was the father-in-law, because Lord Shiva married Daksha's daughter. So in that sense, he kind of had some higher up role. And Lord Shiva was always in meditation. He's constantly meditating on Krishna and the gopis. One name for Lord Shiva is Gopeshwar Mahadev, which means he's always meditating on Krishna and the gopis. So for whatever reason, everybody stood up, but Lord Shiva was in meditation. He didn't stand up. And Daksha just started criticizing me like anything. And he was he didn't like the fact that he married his daughter. So anyway, I'm going to make this a really long story short, because that wasn't the point of my telling this whole pastime. But there was a big fight that went on, and there was those that were loyal to Lord Shiva, and there were those that were loyal to Daksha. So they were fighting and fighting. And long story short, Daksha got his head cut off. His head was whacked off in this fight. So he became a little humbled by that a little bit, some degree. And he was repentant. So his head was cut off. They couldn't put, I think his head was destroyed or something, but it couldn't be put back on. But there was a goat there to sacrifice that was going to be, perhaps sacrificed. Now, back in those days, if they put a goat in the fire, just like a cow, they come out unharmed. But so anyway, what they did was they took they cut the head off the goat, and they gave it to Daksha. And so, and there you'll see pictures if you go on the internet and look for Daksha goat head. You'll see pictures of them. It's all there in the Eastern theology about Daksha. He had the head of a goat. Okay, now somebody just mentioned that in a class. It was passing. They weren't making any strong. I don't even remember what the point was they were making. But something I mentioned, Daksha had the head of a goat. And I was remembering, I could see the pictures in my mind of Daksha, this good-looking guy. Really good-looking guy, smart guy, with the head of a goat. So I went into the bathroom, and I looked. I was glancing at myself in the mirror, and I saw this head, and I was thinking, how is this any different than the goat head that Daksha had? What you're seeing, this isn't me at all. It's an old guy now. It really looked foreign to me that this isn't my head. I have, we're all beautiful. Our spiritual forms are absolutely flawless and gorgeous and becoming more beautiful every moment. And I've got this, head of an old man that's like, getting older every day. It's getting wrinkled, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't put like some cream on and look like a handsome young guy again. It's just, but and ever since, it hasn't gone away. Every time I go in the bathroom, what's this silly head I've got? So it was a pretty strong epiphany. I never thought of it in that way. It was somehow Krishna wanted me to see it that way. Krishna arranged that there was mention of Daksha with the head of a goat. And this is non-different than a head of a goat. Even like the most beautiful person, the most beautiful woman or most beautiful man in the world, they look like a goat compared to the demigods, right? Mm-hmm. What to speak of the residents of the spiritual world? The apsaras are so beautiful. So I just had this really strong realization. Then to make it worse, I started when I'm seeing people like the guy who I live with, who lives in my house. He lives upstairs. I live down in my place. It was like a goat. And his sister came to stay with him to visit for 10 days, and she looked like a female goat. And anyway, it was it's quite an epiphany to. I mean, I've thought like this before, but somehow it just came back strong. Like I remember when I went. You probably heard me talk about this during a Halloween. I was down in Waikiki, and we were having Sankirtan, and all these people are walking by wearing costumes, right? Like a bear costume, and a horse costume, or a fairy. A woman might be like a beautiful a fairy or a witch. I saw a guy that he had this little thing on. He looked just like Bill Clinton. Now this was years ago. Maybe it was back at the Clinton era. I can't remember. But and I just started having this realization how they have these costumes, but when they take the costume off, there's another costume under it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're all it's just another costume. So anyway, that was my fun epiphany for the my fun epiphany for the week was that. Yes, I'm wondering when it's going to go away. It's going to start looking like me again. But it's probably a good thing if it doesn't. I don't know. But aren't we all so focused on our faces? Doesn't everybody every day look in the mirror and, maybe I'm not as good looking as I used to be or want to be, but, it's us. And it's okay. But it isn't us. But don't we all look in the mirror and think it's us?
Yeah.
We're so conditioned. When we were a raccoon, we were everything. The raccoon sees himself in the mirror. Of course, I don't know if they know what they're looking at, but anyway, and we've had so many different Daksha head, like a head of a bear, head of a rat. Can you imagine us when we had a rat? We've had all these heads. And now we have these kind of human heads. Look at Rasika. He's got this like Indian head. He's got looks like an Indian guy, doesn't he? But you take that head off and put another one, it'll look like he's Chinese. Or like a real white guy head, it looks super white. But no, that's not him. He's just wearing this head just like Daksha had this head. And we changed them. Just like Leela, right? We can see little Leela here. She's got a little cute little baby head. But that's gonna change. And it's gonna look all different. And next life she'll have some other kind of head. So we get these heads stuck on us. So I'm kind of stuck on that for my weekly epiphany. And
Can I say that if you're looking at us and seeing goat heads, maybe we should take off our video so that we don't look like a goat anymore.
well, no, we're just going to get much more esoteric. I think that we could not function if we didn't, at least on some level, identify with our bodies.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to be able to function. We look in the mirror, okay, that's me. I mean, at the end of the day, we know it isn't me, but we'll go insane otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a certain personality, right? But that has nothing to do with our real personality. We could just sit back and not do anything. No, we have certain karmic things, certain physical forms, certain amount of intelligence. So use it and have fun with it and play with it. I tell some of my students are for instance they're of what we call it in a LTBY. What's it? LTBYQ something. What is it?
LGBTQ.
What?
LBGTQ.
Okay, so somehow I used to be able to raffle that off. But I've always told my students in that regard, it's how you are in this lifetime. It's the card you were dealt. Have fun with it. Thank God it's not like back in the days of the 40s or the 50s when, if someone had some issue with their orientation, they're like, you get fired from your job, your whole life. But these things kind of got fixed. So have fun with being who we are. Don't try to be somebody else that we aren't. Be who we are and have fun with it. And then eventually, and then our real personality will come. That will return when we go back to Krishna. But for now, be who we are and have fun with it. Well, that took 20 minutes of our time. Sorry. Anybody else have anything they want to share? We have some questions. Okay. Well, this is a nice, easy one, fun one. This is from Francia. I woke up thinking about Prabhupada and you this morning. I have two questions. What is your fondest memory of Prabhupada? How did you feel in his presence? Then she says, after spending 2+ years, my God, has it been that long? Over 2 years, Francia? Wow. After spending 2+ years reading his books, I guess I'm wondering what he was like as a person. If this is, of course he's a person. Too personal or unimportant, this should say too personal or unimportant for class, maybe talk later. So Prabhupada was very personable, super personable. And what I highly recommend that we put on your list, because we were talking about things for you to read, it's several volumes of a book called Prabhupada Lilamrita. And it describes everything from his childhood to how he met his spiritual master. He was a follower of Gandhi, and his relationship with his guru, and how when he came to America, what he went through. He never left India. And then when he came to America, he was in New York City and seeing people that were, unbelievable. Hippies, beatniks. He never even saw snow. And it was a very, very cold. His first winter was a very, very cold winter. So and it takes it all the way up to where Prabhupada left the world. And my mother read that, the Lilamrita. It's about 4 or 5 volumes, but it falls in the category of something you can't put it down when you start reading it. It's really, really well done. And my mother said when she was reading it, she said, "Gosh, I wish I could have handed him some money." So you'll really get to know, and it's actually for people that I initiate. It's like required reading that they read the Lilamrita, because it's really important that they know that their foundational Shiksha instructing guru is Prabhupada. That we really want to have that relationship with Prabhupada. And that's one of the things in ISKCON. It's not, they talk it up, but they don't, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's, and it's there in a lot of cases, but in many cases it's, their initiating guru is like where they're totally focused, where the real focus, we really want to have that relationship with Prabhupada. He's the pure devotee. Anything you're getting from me is coming from Prabhupada. And so anyway, we can talk later, you and I, and because I can get those books at a real discount and have them sent to us here. So we can talk about that, friends. Yeah. But yeah, Prabhupada is super, super personal. And then what is my most memorable moment with Prabhupada? Interesting question. They're all memorable. I really can't say this is the one. And every time I think of Prabhupada, or I'm reading the Gita, or I'm teaching, or I feel Prabhupada sitting right next to me. And it's like it can't get any better. I'm speaking, and Prabhupada's like he's right in my heart. He's there. He's bringing all of this. He's just doing it through my mouth. And I find it's like they keep getting better and better and better. I was with him personally, yes. I got personal instructions from him. It was very special. But it's not nearly as special as what I'm doing right now at this very moment. I'm here as his servant. And so I can't say, it's not like in the material world, we could think of the best time we had here. What was your favorite part of the trip you went on? Like I could say maybe when I went to Alaska, when I went kayaking, and then we went to these glaciers, and we got off, and we were walking on the glaciers, and it was maybe like kind of like a high spot of when I went to Alaska. And it was warm. It was some kind of crazy heat system that came in. And so, I mean, materially, I can think of some of the best things in my life. But with Prabhupada, everything's the best. And I think that's true across the board in the spiritual world. If you were to ask the gopis, well, what was the best time you had with Krishna? I mean, each one's better than the one before. They're in unlimited and always getting better. Even though they can't get any better, they get better. That's the nature of the spiritual world. So, yeah, I can't, there's no one thing I could say. I mean, I had some very cool memories, but they're cool things to tell. But in my heart, what I'm doing, it seems like I'm getting closer and closer to Prabhupada. So that's the answer to that question. But we need to talk about who has not read the Lilamrita? Everybody else has read it? Ellie, have you read it? You have it?
I'm on the second to last book right now, the second to last volume, the sixth volume.
Oh, tell Francie about it.
It's wonderful. It's lovely. It's, I felt the same way. I was, I had read the Gita and the Krishna book, and I was chanting, and I was really curious about Prabhupada as a person. And, you see him and you hear about him and people talk about him, but I wanted that personal relationship with him, like Gurudev always speaks of. And as soon as I started reading it and reading about his childhood, especially him as a young child, he just took my heart. And I felt like I knew him. And as I continued reading the books, I feel closer and closer to him, to where I also feel him sitting next to me. People ask me a question and I'll tell them something Prabhupada said. And they're like, I love that. And I'm like, it's not me, it's Prabhupada. But it's true. It's like I feel much more the things we learn about and absorb in Krishna consciousness flowing through me, so I can share it with others and absorb it more myself. And that's all happened by getting to know Prabhupada through his books better. It's truly a transformational experience.
Oh, thank you. That was good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's very, Yeah, we all have a very important relationship with Prabhupada, and that's really, really, in my opinion, the most important thing. I'm your Diksha Guru, giving initiation and so on, and guiding you, and but Prabhupada's just working through me. But really, he's the most important. I always say, I'm Guru with a small G in 12 font, and Prabhupada is with a big capital G and neon lights. But I don't know if people know what neon lights are anymore. So I'm going to have to ask. Ellie, do you know what a neon light is?
I do, yeah.
What is a neon light?
Like a big sign written in neon that glows, and usually it's for like a shop front or something.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it kind of goes off and on. Now they have other fancy stuff, LED stuff. But the neon lights were, I think they were like handmade, and they were like, I'm going, way back into my childhood. But neon lights were like very, very cool. So anyway, all right. Does that answer your question, Prince? Yeah. Okay. All right. Then Rasika Pujari. Please remember basis. My question for today is about Akshaya Tritiya, the day where Sudama gives Krishna broken rice in the start of the Chandan Yatra festival. Can you talk about the importance of this day and anything else that we should know? Your servant, Rasika Pujari Das. Okay, well, Akshaya, the word Akshaya means something which is eternal, which never goes away. Example of something that does go away is whatever we do in this world materially. Forget being a devotee. You're racking up all kinds of karma, right? But that karma, even that karma, eventually, you got good karma and bad karma. In Kali Yuga, it's mostly bad karma. But your good karma, you can go to the heavenly planets, but that's got a timer, and soon that karma is lost. You go to hellish planets, even that's temporary. So everything is kind of temporary. It's got no permanent value in the material world, nothing. You have this life, you have all these children, you have this, that, and then it's gone. End of life, gone. We've had millions of sets of children, etc. Gone. Tritiya means something that is a part of Bhakti. And that's when things become eternal. So that's the meaning of Akshaya. And Tritiya means the third day I guess it's each month, the third day from the new moon. Now we just had a new moon. It was either yesterday or the day before. So I'm pretty sure it was yesterday here in Hawaii. It could have been different somewhere else. But in Hawaii, the full moon was, the new moon was yesterday. So, and I'm not sure if that's considered the first day. I would think it is. The full moon, and then the next day would be the second day of that cycle, and then the third day, something like that. I don't hold me to it, but it's the third day of that of the what we call the well, no, this is the light moon where that's starting to come back again. The moon went from new moon, no moon, so like 3 days. There's a little tiny sliver of sun that we'll see on that day. And that's a day when it's a very auspicious day. And things that are done, it's kind of like Ekadasi. And but they're different. And be honest, I'm not a scholar in this regard. I don't know that much about it. but it's a day when things have like greater value than other days. Of course, what we do on any days, we're doing it for Krishna. It's, unlimited value, but somehow it's more unlimited on the Tritiya, on that particular day. Just like Ekadasi, we take time to maybe chant a couple of extra rounds or an extra round, and maybe do a little more reading or what have you. Okay, now on this day, because it's such a special day, certain special things happen. And one of the things that you're mentioning here is a Chandan festival. So this Chandan festival, it's about, we have to see the difference. Remember, something that you've heard me talk about before is tattva and rasa. So at this time of the year, it's very hot in India. It's starting to get really hot. But Krishna, he's God. So nothing can pain God, correct? I mean, God is God. That's tattva. That's true. God is, he's unlimited. God's not going to get cold or get hot because he's God. And that's factually true with regard to tattva. But rasa is the other side of Krishna, where Krishna does like to come in and be part of everything that's going on. And he can get cold. Just like, is Krishna hungry? Like, I've got deities, my beautiful deities here. That's Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. They're completely satisfied. They're complete.
Here,
There's
wipe your hands
nothing.
off first. Wait, come here. No, we're gonna do as a wipe. Come here. Let me get your face.
So, but the deities, out of their kindness, they will literally get hungry. And I'll show you today's offering.
Going. Bring the deities some food. Thank you.
Can we see that?
Oh,
This is breakfast this morning. I took the flowers off of it because I put it in the fridge. It's organic Fuji apple and organic blueberries and
Leela, if you talk again while I'm doing this, we're
and
not going to
different
Kid City. You have to earn
and
Kid City, remember?
different
Okay. And
kinds
you get
of
a lollipop
nuts.
after Kid City. That will be your treat today.
And what you see sprinkled on top is toasted coconut, organic toasted coconut.
wow.
So the deities, they actually start getting hungry in the morning. They literally get hungry and they eat. And hopefully they were satisfied with their breakfast this morning. So again, rasa and tattva, Krishna can and does get hungry. I mean, if he knows he's living where somebody's going to feed him, I can imagine how hungry he must get. Where for Parampara and Malati, they're like like super cooks. They if they could get. I'm glad you guys don't live near me because my deities would want to go over to your place and eat. But these guys are super cooks. But anyway, but even we offer something very simple. Then Krishna says in Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam, offering with devotion. Krishna doesn't care what we offer, really. He doesn't care how good the food is, thankfully, because I'll never be able to cook like Malati or Parampara. I mean, forget it. It's just not going to happen. I'm a decent cook. I can cook, but I'm definitely not on their level. So, but the deities, it's not about ultimately how good the food is. It's how much devotion went into it. Of course, I can't compete with Malati. and Parampara either. You know, they're both of either Indian descent or Nepali descent, and they're just naturally, their hearts are so pure. And I know that when they're cooking for the deities, they're cooking for the deities. I'm cooking for the deities and thinking, I'm going to get I'm going to be eating this later after them. You know, so getting back to Chandan. In the Chandan festival is all about that the Lord has become cold, and the devotees are in ecstasy. There's some service that they have that they get to rub the Chandan. By the way, Chandan is maybe Rasika Pujari may know the most about this. Chandan is a mixture of sandalwood pulp and right, you grind the sandalwood, and then what
Yes,
do you do?
Gurudev, and camphor too.
Oh, that's it, camphor. Okay, because that's
Yeah,
also cooling. So
yes,
so
Gurudev.
they mix together. And how do you grind it? You have like a what do you
It's
grind it
like a
with?
pestle. It's like a pestle and a mortar, but the pestle is flat, like a rolling pin almost.
Okay. So how do you get that from wood into powder?
I think it's like a stick, Gurudev. So you rub the stick on the platform, and it creates the chandan, and then you add camphor on that.
Okay. You don't get like a standing hand sander out there and sand it.
No, no, Gurudev.
That's what I would do. I'd get my sander out. But
It's like
anyway,
cinnamon. It's like the bark of a tree. So you're rubbing the bark of the tree against a mortar yeah, the mortar, and it's creating this chandan.
got it. So the devotee takes great ecstasy, and I mean the Lord is called literally is hot, and devotees take great joy. They don't think about I'm hot, and then they're concerned with the deities. I mean, in this world, everybody's thinking, oh, it's hot, oh, it's cold, right? Like here, it was a little bit chilly this morning. Chilly, it's like 75 degrees. I put a little sweatshirt on, and it's I'm always trying to make sure I'm not. I never worry so much about getting hot, but it being cold. So I'm always adjusting myself for my temperature. But a real devotee, he's only thinking about Krishna, and and the gopis they're not thinking about themselves at all. They're just thinking about Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So it's very auspicious on that particular day, and so on. I think that festival lasts for several days, doesn't it? I don't think it's just one day; it's a number of days, but I can't remember. Anyway, but that's the idea. Does that help?
Yes, Gurudev, thank you.
Yeah, it's all about devotion, and the benefit that we're getting from this is unlimited. Even you fall down for some reason. You leave devotional service. I don't like Krishna anymore. I'm going to go out and just get some beer and some ladies and some this that right. We're anyway, but that's all about it. But we will never lose whatever devotional credits we have. Never, never, ever, ever, ever. It's always in our bank. As soon as we turn back to Krishna, it's all waiting for us. So that is Akshaya. Never lose it. Krishna says, Neha Bikranashoshi Pratnavaya Vidyate Svapamapesya Dharmasya Trayate Mahatavaya. There's no loss or diminution. And even this little bit of scent of devotion, Krishna will never forget it. All the things we've done for people, they may remember them, most aren't going to remember. But Krishna, you do anything, the smallest little thing for Krishna, you'll never forget it, ever. And he amplifies it. Never lost. Whatever devotion we've done for Krishna, everything we've devoted, we do for anybody or anything else is materially is lost. Now, of course, taking care of our children or our devotional practices or with devotees, that's all falls into that eternal category. This because it's offered to Krishna. We're just like Ellie. She's got the little Leela there, and she's trying to be a mommy. God, I can't imagine how much work that must be. And Francis had five dogs. I can't imagine that. Five, and they all turned out great. I mean, at least from a material standpoint, they're well adjusted, good people. Like I watch Ellie, it's like, I was never around the child. I'm the baby, and according to my sisters, spoiled rotten. But I was the baby, so I was never around the child. I've seen them, and they sure look like a lot of work. And somehow women, they're like born with this. You see it in animals, isn't it? We see it even in an animal. I mentioned raccoon. The raccoons are so cute. When I was a little kid, I saw this raccoon with little babies. Mommy was taking care. The guy usually leaves. Guys are kind of creepy, but women are, they're like kind of saintly in that way. They can just amazing. Okay, let's go on. Rashika, you asked a second question. Did I get that right? Did you send, or was that from a different week? You're asking about Haridas Thakur and 22 marketplaces.
No, Gurudev, that was long time ago, maybe.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so, and then our last one we have here is Nitai. And Lord Krishna is narrating the conversation of King Yadu and the Avadhuta to Uddhava. In the conversation, the Avadhuta mentions to the king, by the way, an Avadhuta is someone who is like so advanced that they're almost like, they don't act normally. They're not, you'd think they're like, totally autistic or something. They're just so absorbed in Krishna that they do, crazy things. And so on. So anyway, Avadhuta. Sometimes Lord Nityananda is spoken of as an Avadhuta. Lord Nityananda, a grown guy will show up without any clothes on. I mean, he's an Avadhuta. Or he'll go swimming. He'll go swimming with alligators. There's alligators in the stream, and he didn't care. He just goes in and of course he's God, so they know not to bite him. But I mean, he's an Avadhuta. He does all kinds of wild stuff. Okay, so the Avadhuta mentions to the king what he has learned from his 24 gurus, one being the wind, which the verse talks about, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so this is the reading. This is from the, I don't know if this is a translation or the purport. Verse 40. It's what, the purport?
Yep.
Okay. The wind, however, being fixed in its own nature, remains neutral in both its inauspicious and inauspicious activities. So just like Lord Nityananda, it's not very auspicious walking around without any clothes on, right? Is that auspicious for a grown man? No. But for him, he's an Avadhuta. He's very advanced, or he's playing the role of, okay. If, however, we remain fixed in Krishna consciousness, we will not be disturbed by the inauspicious, nor become attached to the materially auspicious. In the course of his spiritual duties, a devotee sometimes finds himself chanting Hare Krishna in a beautiful country atmosphere, and sometimes he finds himself doing the same thing in a hellish city. Wanted to hear your realizations, Gurudev, on how we remain neutral in both pleasing and not so pleasing situations. Thank you, Gurudev, for your unconditional love, mercy, and blessings. Okay, so thank you for that. The Avadhuta is a very, very advanced stage. We cannot imitate an Avadhuta. An Avadhuta doesn't care what situation he is. He's Just kind of like yesterday. Yesterday, they gave me 2 medications to put me to sleep, to sedate me while they were doing a procedure on my neck. Basically, under a fluoroscope. They had me under a fluoroscope, and they were injecting some cortisone and something else into a nerve, one of the facets on my spine, and so they gave me fentanyl and Versed, which are two. Well, fentanyl's a narcotic, and Versed is a anti-anxiety medication. So they gave me that shot, and I was like, I was out. I was like an Avadhuta. And it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered to me whether I was, you know, by a beautiful lake with swans, or if I was, downtown in Detroit, outside somewhere on a table. It wouldn't have made the tiniest bit of difference to me, because I'm so absorbed. Um, I was so absorbed in my mind was just completely affected by the medications they gave me. It wouldn't have mattered where I was. It wouldn't matter. I wouldn't care like what music they were playing while they're doing this procedure. I mean, it could have been jazz, Miles Davis or some of my favorite musicians, or it could have been, something opera, which I don't. For some reason, I don't like opera music. It sounds like somebody screaming. But anyway, it wouldn't. None of that would matter. So for an Avadhuta, it doesn't matter where they are. Now, we're not Avadhutas, so we become much more tolerant to situations. Doesn't mean we're like it. Like if I had to go to live in Detroit, Michigan or something, I wouldn't like it, but it's not going to bother me as long as I can chant, as long as I got my japa beads and I've got my computer and I can meet with my students. I'd be fine. My preference is right where I'm at right now, however. I'm right, like as I'm looking at you, I just look a little bit to the side and I can see the whole ocean. I can see boats going by. I can see it's a low tide. I can see the reefs. I can see Coconut Island over where um, what's it? I forgot the name of the movie. Anyway, these movies were filmed there. So we do have preferences, but they're not that big. Like Prabhupada. Prabhupada went all over the world to some really hellish places. New York City, boy, was that hellish. But he was willing to tolerate it. He left India. He left Vrindavan and went to New York City. A snowy, cold winter with nobody interested in what he's got to say. But in his heart there was a glow. He was following the order of his guru, and therefore it didn't make that big of a difference. Now, but at the same time, Prabhupada, his favorite place to come, where's his favorite place to visit on this earth? Anybody know? Hawaii. He loved coming here, and he particularly liked to come during mango season. And Prabhupada did. Now there's a debate that goes on between Los Angeles and Hawaii. And this eternal debate will probably never exactly be resolved. But the two places where he did the most translating work was LA and Hawaii. Because he loved it, so peaceful here. His room, you look out a window, there's a huge banyan tree. In fact, it's a Ficus bengalensis, which means it's the ficus of Bengal. Devotees didn't plant that. That just happened to be there on the property. Huge bengalensis banyan tree. So Prabhupada had his preferences where he was. Of course, he was really advanced, but anyway, he still liked it here in Hawaii. He really liked it here, especially during mango season. And so we are somewhere between a materialist and a pure devotee. And as we're advancing in spiritual life, we become much more tolerant of anything, of whatever we're having, whatever's going on in our life. That all really matters is the glow, the connection between our guru and Krishna. That's what really makes our heart, brings the glow to our heart. And we're connecting with Krishna and Guru and Vaishnavas. There's a glow there. It kind of doesn't matter where we are. But at our stage, quite frankly, I find being in Hawaii, where I can get up early, it's never cold, and go out for a beautiful walk. It just makes it easy for me, for some reason. So it's okay at our stage to gradually. We're not Avadhutas. We can't imitate. Just like Prabhupada said, we can't imitate Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was beaten, and I'm thinking about that because it was a question I thought that we had for today. Haridas Thakur was the Muslims. They wanted to. They just wanted to stop chanting Hare Krishna. They want to stop this Hare Krishna. We'll let you go. Stop chanting Hare Krishna. Well, otherwise we're going to beat you. He could have stopped, but he said, this is in Bengali, Kanda Kanda Hai Neha Jaya Jari Pran Tabu Amavandane Nachari Harinam. That means, Kanda means like a section, Kanda. So, Kanda Kanda Hai, you could cut me into sections. Kanda Kanda Hai Jaya Jaya Dari Pran, to the point, Pran, where my life air is leaving my body. You can cut me up where you're killing me. Tabu Amivandane. Tabu means nevertheless, or yeah, it means like nevertheless, still. Tabu Amivandane, within my mouth, Nachari Harinam. I'll never stop chanting Hare Krishna. So cut me up into pieces, do whatever you want. I'm not stopping, because he's in such ecstasy from his chanting. Kanda Kanda Hai Jaya Jaya Tabu Amivandane, within my mouth. Tabu, still in my mouth. And Nachari means to give up. Harinam, I will never give up the chanting of the holy name. I don't care what you do to me. And he was so, we can't imitate him. If they're getting ready to beat me in a marketplace, I'll shut up right then. No Krishna, no Hari, no Brahma, nothing. Don't beat me. But Haridas, we're not on that level, right? We're not on the level of Haridas Thakur. So, well, my God, if I was like Jesus in there, same idea, right? All of his disciples, they didn't want him to be crucified, but he didn't care. He was so. We can't imitate Jesus. If you're going to nail me up to a cross, I'll do anything you want. I'll take a Bhagavad Gita and light it on fire. I'll do anything. Don't put me on the darn cross. We can't imitate. Of course, I'd know that if I had to burn the Bhagavad Gita so I didn't die, Krishna would certainly forgive me. I have that all figured out ahead of time. But we can't imitate these great personalities. Like Haridas Thakur, there was that envious what was his name? He was very envious of Haridas Thakur, and he wanted to prove to everybody that Haridas Thakur was not so advanced in spiritual life. He wanted him to fall down. So he sent this beautiful prostitute and to tempt him. She came in the middle of the night, late at night, and she was, wearing practically nothing, expert. And well, we're pretty much out of time here. But Haridas said, "Okay, we'll do it. I will satisfy you, but first let me finish my rounds. Because Haridas chanted a lot of rounds. He chanted 3 lakhs of rounds a day. So that's 64 rounds times 3. So anyway, you can't imagine that. And so he said, let me just finish. And she was respectful. By the way, she was respectful. She came, in India, even a prostitute, they've got, they're from India. They've got some good qualities. So when she saw Haridas, she knew he was a monk. She bowed down. Tulsi was there. She bowed down before Tulsi. She bowed down before Haridas. And she sat. Haridas said, just listen, as soon as I'm done, we'll I'll satisfy you. And then she waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. And the next thing, it was morning already. Oh, I'm so sorry. Come back tomorrow. I promise. Tomorrow we will have this success. And so she came back the next night, and Haridas said, as soon as I'm finished tonight, it's guaranteed. Tonight we're going to have some fun. And she sat there and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. And next thing you know, it's morning again. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please, tomorrow, absolutely. You've got my promise. She came back the next night. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And by the morning, she had become so purified by his chanting. She fell down at his feet and she said, I have to confess to you. I came here to have union with you. And Haridas said, and she was sent by, was it Ramchandra Khan? I think that's who it was, Ramchandra Khan. And she basically, Haridas, she said, she fell at his feet. How can I be forgiven? And Haridas initiated her. And he said, now you chant, you go to a hut, you chant, worship Tulsi, and everything's forgiven. Now, Prabhupada said, we can't imitate Haridas Thakur. I mean, me being a Westerner, born in the Western world, if some, middle of the night, some beautiful woman shows up and she's really expert and knows what she's doing. Anyway, you can't imitate Haridas Thakur. So, we can't imitate the Avadhuta, Prabhu. Know where we're at, and act accordingly. Does that answer your question, Nita?
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Somebody said they had a question. That was Parampara.
Yes, Gurudev. And Can I go the question, Gurudev?
Please.
So, Gurudev, yesterday we went for a house program, and then we were reading through the Nectar of Devotion, and we had a question like one Mataji asked because we're reading about Krishna's pastime and with his devotees, and everywhere it said that Krishna had 10 sons and then boys and things like that. And she was like, does it Leela have even females? Like, why is always glorifying the birth of boys and not the females? And then we had we discussed. So good. They just wanted to know how would you approach this question, and how would you answer this question?
Krishna didn't have any, I'm not even sure. Krishna didn't have any daughters. I've never heard
He
this.
had one daughter, but 10 sons. But son has always been given the priority, and even the yajnas also there is putresti yajna.
Yeah, well,
It has always been done back
back
then.
in
It was
the
hard for me
day,
to console that Mataji.
back in the day, it was a very male-oriented society, very male-oriented. But it wasn't chauvinistic in the sense that the men protected and loved the women. And the women, having like a nice wife is like a great, great benediction to a man. When it's quite natural. It's a natural thing. Women were not exploited. They didn't have to go out and work. I mean, they didn't want. I mean, it was just naturally take care of the babies and make nice prasadam, and they were just happy being women and really appreciate it. It's not like now. The reason that that whole women's lib thing came up was because it's Kali Yuga and women got totally exploited. I don't blame the women. They don't get paid as much. Women were really given the short end in my lifetime. I mean, like you couldn't go to medical school. I mean, maybe one token woman could go to medical school or dental school or veterinary school. It was terrible. Women were it's Kali Yuga, so men were taking advantage of women. And people were taking advantage of like the sutras. It was just, when you get into Kali Yuga, it's a mess. So it was in fact more male oriented back then. Also, yeah. Anyway, but women were not exploited. They weren't. Nobody was even thinking back then. All these bunch of men, but the women were very much appreciated, really appreciated, and there were some really saintly women like Queen Kunti. There's a whole section of the Bhagavatam. It's all Prabhupada even made it into a book, The Teachings of Queen Kunti. Her prayers were beautiful. One of her favorite prayers just comes to my mind. She said, Tvayim ananya vishayam atir madhapate sakrit vrtim udradharata gange valdam budanvati. Says, my dear Lord, just as the Ganges forever flows towards the sea, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Kunti Devi, the way she took care of her children, everyone loved her. Saintly, I mean, ultimate saintly woman. Women were in Vedic times. Women were appreciated. They were like gold. Maybe that's why. Yeah. Anyway, they were like a good woman is like a good chaste woman is like the best thing that can happen to a man. And we get it from Krishna because Krishna likes to be with the ladies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's natural and it's there. Now, in the spiritual world, when we can make arrangements for Krishna and Radha to be together, etc., that's like the highest. But the attraction to man and woman is natural. And if you have a good partner, a good man, good woman, it's like gold. I've seen in my godbrothers that had good wives. They really kept them in line. One of the nice things they say about women is they guard the fort. Because some of my friends, good-looking guys, and other women start coming around, and the wife is, the wife kind of guards the fort, keeps them safe. And he may not like it at the moment, but ultimately he really likes it. He really appreciates that the woman guards the fort. That's so many. The Bhagavatam's all full of positive things about women. And one thing that I always say about women, because they're not always as philosophical as men, they're much more emotional. And I think that emotional is really important for raising their children, et cetera, and keeping the house together, keeping things going. But Prabhupada always said that women, they're not always so philosophical because they don't need to be. What I mean by this is a woman, and I've seen it, I used to think these women were just sentimental. I thought I was better than them because I knew the philosophy and they didn't, and I could quote verses and they couldn't. But they were going in and they were serving the deities. And I was thinking they're just maybe sentimental. They just wanted to go in and cook for the deities or sew for the deities. Come on, man, I'm learning verses. I know all these shlokas. But Krishna's not impressed with that. He's impressed with them, who's in there sewing them nice dresses or cleaning, and making the altar nice, doing all these, ironing their clothes. Maybe they knew where it was when I didn't have a clue. So women, they have that natural propensity to serve. Men don't. We have a natural propensity to want to be served. Am I right, guys?
Yes.
Yes, she's very wise. Very, Francie is very street smart. You can't pull nothing over on her. She's a gem. But yeah, women are, I mean, they're wonderful. And they were really appreciated in Vedic times. They'd have these Svayam bars where men would come, they'd fight, they'd do anything to get the woman. They'd often die in the battle to get a good woman. And that's why the women, isn't that have something to do with the red mark? What's that red mark called, Malati? Bindi, what's it called? That
Sindoor,
red mark.
right?
What's it called?
What you have on? Sindoor.
The red dot. You
Right?
have a red dot? I can't see it.
Yeah. I have a red dot and red dot here. I have both.
Okay.
I
Wow.
will say that.
And doesn't that have something to do with that? That's marking the red where she was one. Because they were often the Svayambor ceremonies where the men would fight to get the woman.
Yeah,
That's my
this one is,
understanding.
this one, when you put here, is for the longevity of the husband's life. This what I read in the Vedic scriptures. This when you put here, you have to
See
put the
the woman
sindoor
for the husband. See, the woman is for the
for the
husband,
husband. Yes.
and the husband are for the husbands. Because I'm a guy, I know. It's all
Yes,
about the
you're right.
husband. It's all about the guy. But the women are
That's
just
why our mother teaches
they're
us
so
that,
precious, huh?
Gurudev, our mothers, because we don't learn scriptures and everything, but our mother teaches us by example how to behave. What is most important in life for a woman to do? The mother is very important. That's why the mothers, they're very important in our lives. Grandmothers, aunties, because they teach us all this. They learn all this from, time immemorial under the
Nice.
Varnashram system, right? So this is departed to us, and this is how we have to treat our husband, how to take care of our husband, how to take care of our children, and give them the same training, so that's something we don't learn in schools. We learn from our mothers and grandmothers and aunties, who are truly whose culture has been embedded in them. So this is how we, so that you don't need philosophy for that, right? It comes from the heart. So
Right, I
this
get
one.
it. Yeah. Women are the best at that. Just like I met Ellie's mom just we were on a Zoom call, and I met her mom. It's just so lovely, right, Ellie? Her mom's a real sweetheart. Like my mom, I have to tell, I wouldn't be a devotee if it wasn't for my mom. My mom was she's my guru of love. She gave me a taste of love, real love, and she just trained me to be a good. She didn't know much about spiritual life, but she trained me to be a good person, and she taught me about love and about watching after my sisters. I had two sisters. My father died when I was quite young, so I was kind of like the man of the house. And my mom encouraged me in that way, and then my mom's picture is right next to my bed. So yeah, women are, they're really, 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 really appreciated in Vedic times. Anyway, things got screwed up and when Kali Yuga kicked in. Maybe even before that, I don't know. All right, I think we're past our time. So thank you all for being here. And wow, you all take me up so high. It's wonderful. And look at see they're all definitely more sincere than I am. I mean, I can put on a show. I can tell you some stories. I can chant some Sanskrit or some Bengali. But you guys are the ones that are really lifting me. Honest to God, it's so
No,
sweet.
Gurudev, it is you who lift us up. That's why we are here every time we come. Yeah, it's
No,
you.
I don't know.
And like you say, Srila Prabhupada gives you all that, you know,
Right.
the strength and everything comes from him. So it's all of you. That's why we are here and still with you, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, but I see your heart. You're also sincere. All righty. Well, thank you all so much, and we'll
Thank
see
you,
you all
Gurudev.
again
Thank you,
next week.
everyone. Nice to see
And
you
I'm
all.
always
Hare
here.
Krishna.
Anybody needs me,
Thank you.
you know where to
Hare
find me.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
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 Sindhu